Hi, welcome to Still Evolving, where we explore the truth behind lasting high performance and resilience. Rather than relying on perfection or superhuman ability, our conversation will highlight how real strength emerges through simple, intentional habits grounded in self-compassion, adaptability, and the ability to grow through life's inevitable setbacks. Today's guest is Bill Amelio, CEO of Orivium Americas and a global business leader known for transforming companies. He's led major organizations like Avnet and Lenovo and held executive roles at Dell and IBM. Bill has helped drive innovation in new technologies, including artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. He holds a master's degree in management as a Sloan Fellow from the Stanford Graduate School of Business and a bachelor's in chemical engineering from Lehigh University. Beyond business, he co-founded Caring for Cambodia, a nonprofit helping improve education and opportunities for thousands of children. Please welcome Bill. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just very grateful for your time in this conversation. And your willingness to share on your journey as a leader, some of those lessons learned, how you've bounced back from challenges, and just really appreciate the opportunity to learn from you.
Great being on, Amy. Let's do it.
All right. If we could start off, would you mind sharing with the audience just a bit about your journey or evolution? Catch us up, if you will, on your process and how you're evolving.
I think it started back when I was in high school. I was a wrestler and a football player, and I think that individual sports have allowed me to fine-tune my competitive nature. I don't like losing. In fact, I hate to lose, and I think that's something that compels me to make sure I can try to win each time. And when I did lose, I do a detailed post-mortem of what did I do wrong and how can I get better. And I think that applies to anything that you do in your life. And I've had a fantastic journey, been in business for over 40 years, had fantastic opportunities along the way. And I think the majority of the reason is because I followed an important guidepost all my career. And that was this idea that feedback is a gift. And unfortunately, young people don't realize that. And when they get feedback sometimes that's negative, they don't realize that's a gift. It's a gift because you should realize if people feel that way about you, you need to change. And you need to do something, and not, you don't have to dramatically change, but you need to change off the margin a little bit so you can be more effective. And I've seen some fantastic leaders along the way that have missed that message, and their career suffered because of it, because they didn't make the necessary changes in order to be able to be even more effective leader.
Yeah, it's a great frame. Just thinking that people only give you gifts because they care, right? I think back to some of those coaches who kind of were on me, and it took energy, they took time, they took energy and thought, even if it seemed like it was like in the moment, them firing off at me, they didn't have to. They could have turned their back and like walked away.
Well, as an individual, it hurts. It hurts. When somebody tells you that you're not quite up to par, it hurts. And then you got to accept that. And as opposed to ignoring it and doing the Heisman on it, the better strategy is to absorb it, accept it, and think about what you need to do to get better because of what you just heard. And it works. It works. You can continue to improve and sharpen your saw, so to speak, and get better and better each day.
Absolutely. I'm curious, like, sometimes negative feedback can be like an obstacle or setback, but other adversity that you've had as a business leader, what lessons have helped you keep going despite maybe those setbacks or a downturn or some adversity? What helps you? What tools or lessons keep growing through it?
I will tell you this. I've been fired several times, and each time I'd look back and say, what could I have done a little bit differently and a little bit better to be better the next time? Because some of it I was absolutely right about the course of action, but the manner that I went about it could have been better to not lose the assignment. So I like to look at your performance in two categories. One is, what did you accomplish and how'd you do it? It's called the what and the how. So what did you do and how did you do it? And a lot of people do really great on the what, and sometimes they fail on the how, which is your behaviors. And that's something that all of us have a chance to be able to fix over time. But I think the most important thing, all of us to be successful, is get things done. Make things happen. Set a goal and make it happen. If you make a commitment, stick to your commitment. It's not that difficult. And unfortunately, some people don't realize that. Some people wander around life and they never make any commitments. They don't. They're terrified of being able to be on the hook for something. I love being on the hook for something. And I believe that in every problem, there's an opportunity. So when you get something thrown in your face, as opposed to whining about it and saying, "Oh, woe is me," the better strategy is to say, "Okay, what opportunity can I see because of this?" And I've seen fantastic opportunities fall right in my lap just because I've viewed the problem as an opportunity versus a setback.
That really is a mindset shift. I mean, seeing, and it goes past like, sometimes I admit I will push back on the whole, like, oh, you got to think positively, right? I think that's like kind of like a rosy way. But to your point of like the mindset shift of this challenge, this adversity, there's an opportunity here to grow, right? Like there's opportunity here to contribute or to build. And that subtle shift, it's incredibly powerful.
I'm not saying that you don't go through the death and dying process. We all do that. What I'm telling you to do is do it fast. Go through the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, and the final acceptance. Do that whole strategy really rapidly because we're all going to go through it. Whatever setback you have, you are going to go through the death and dying process. And the guys and ladies that can get through that quicker are the ones that are successful. And never hold a grudge. Don't hold a grudge. I mean, one thing when you're got adversity that's facing you, what I hold on to dearly is my faith in Jesus Christ. And I think that years ago I wouldn't even talk about it because some people get offended by it, but it's part of who I am. It's
Right.
pillar. And I think praying is a very important thing, and it's worked for me and continues to work for me.
I'm so grateful for you sharing on that. Jim Lehrer back in, gosh, I want to say it was like the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. It's been a minute. He shared a model and he talked about the corporate athlete. He was in sport mostly and performance, but then kind of wrote this article in HBR and he talked about how executive leaders are essentially corporate athletes. And in his model, yes, he has the foundation of physical, right? Like we are a human system. We need to take care of our well-being. We need to be able to have, the energy systems available for us, whether it's the cognitive load or if you're out there on the court. And then of course the mental and the emotional. But at the top of the pyramid and what he highlighted, and I regret our industry hasn't done more with, is the spiritual, the connection to something that's greater than yourself. For you, that resonates in your Christian faith, and whether it's praying or other religious practices that you use, it's so significant when we talk about performance, having that connection to something bigger than yourself.
Well,
However,
if you think about the Christian faith for a minute, one of the important pillars, it's not described quite like this, but this is the way I translate it. It's the idea of check your ego at the door. And you go look at a lot of leaders, and they're not somebody you want to have a beer with because their egos are so big it drives you bananas. And that's not the way to be. What I learned in wrestling and in karate, because I've done that for years as well, is this idea that we all put our pants on one leg at a time. So you can look at any celebrity, any president, anybody who's important. They do the same thing that we do each and every day. There's no difference in that. However, it's the people that can really check that ego at the door that when people talk about them, they say they're special. They say they're
yeah.
special because they made me feel important. And good leaders make people feel important. It's how
Mhm.
you feel when somebody leaves the conversation with you. How did you feel? Did they make you feel special, or did they destroy you?
Yeah.
Interesting politics just today. If you look at one of the candidates out in California, now her videos are all going viral because of how nasty she is. She clearly is not making everybody feel special.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a detriment to her ability to be able to get elected governor because, people see that. They say, geez, I don't like that. Of course you don't.
Right. Right.
And it's easy to fix. It's easy to fix. But
Yes.
it's a mental state that you got to say, hey, everybody's, I'm not better than anybody.
We're all human.
I just work my tail off. If I'm competing against you, rest assured, I'm working my tail off to beat you. But
Yeah.
I don't think I'm any more special than you. I just think I'm gonna outwork you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. What, you talk about that grind, right? Like, or the grit associated with high performance or kind of just showing up in your best self, whether that's in business or you've done a ton as a charitable leader with your organization. So I reference sometimes like the psychotic grit, and the analogy I use to describe that is, grit is that perseverance fueled by passion. You kind of show up even when you get knocked down, you kind of keep working through it. But like in sport, like you often play hurt, right? Like there's no elite athlete out there who goes out there and they feel like 100% great. If they've been doing this for any amount of time, they're a little banged up, right? But you can't play injured. And that's, when I've worked with people who kind of are so fried or banged up where really they can't respond optimally. And that's where it becomes more psychotic grit, right? Like they've lost touch with the reality that they need to take some time back, recenter, reground, take care of themselves, reconnect with their team or those around them.
Well, think about it this way. The worst attribute you can have as a leader or even as a person is the victim mentality. Oh, woe is me. It's all the world's against me. Guess what? Every one of us have problems. We all have
Right.
problems. And
We
it's
all
how
have
you deal it's how you deal with your problem. If you're going to sit there and whine about it, then guess what? The problems are going to get bigger. You mentioned grit. I love that. Angela Duckworth, a famous author, that said, you probably read her stuff, is that it's not about your IQ or your EQ. It's about, and talented people who have grit, which is defined as passion and perseverance, are the ones that make it ahead because they got that inspiration that says, I'm going to get this done. I'm passionate about getting this done, and nothing's going to stop me in the way of getting it done. My perseverance is going to be more than yours, and that's going to get me ahead. That's what makes successful people really successful.
How do you recover in that grit such that you can sustain it for the runway that's needed, right? What do? You mentioned your faith very much grounds you, the practice of praying, but are there other things that you do to take care of yourself, your human system, so that you can continue to find a way and push in that perseverant and passionate pursuit?
Yeah, I've been dedicated all my life to exercise. So I work out 6 days a week, about an hour a crack. So between strength training and cardio, I'm happy to say that I weigh the same that I weighed when I was in college and wrestling competitively at that time. And quite frankly, I haven't changed much. My face has, but my body really has not. It's really in great shape. Well, I've gone through, all of us go through several different health issues along the way, whether we had an accident or injury or whatever. The fact is, if you maintain a healthy regimen of working out, you will be able to get by a lot of problems. And working out when you're a little off is the most important because it's easy to say, this isn't a great day. I'm just going to not do it today. And then it's the next day, I'm not going to do it. And all of a sudden, you lost the habit. It takes 28 days to build a habit. It takes a lot quicker to drop the habit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
therefore, if you are in a habit of working out, keep doing it. Even if you're sick, try to push yourself a little bit. I found that when I get ill, if I'm working out, my illness doesn't last that long from a cold or sniffles or whatever it might be. I mean, I had COVID 3 times, and I was working out the whole time through COVID. I wasn't doing good, if you looked at my athletic performance, I mean, I measured on the Peloton as an example. My scores were way down, but I still was out there trying to move a little bit. Moving is important. We as human beings need to be moving all the time. If you're not, it's a problem. I think somebody has said, and I think it's one of the smartest things I heard lately, is that sitting is the new smoking. So if you're not up and moving, you're going to have some problems. And as we get older, we really need to dedicate it. And some people, it doesn't take a lot. All you got to do is do 150 minutes a week of brisk walking is all you need to do. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but you need to do something.
Yeah, you have to move. Absolutely agree. For our leaders that are out there, given your journey, you shared already some tremendous insights. I'm just curious if there is one actionable tip besides activity, exercise, love it. But as a business leader, entrepreneur, what's that one actionable practice, tip, habit that you find has just really helped you in your business pursuit?
I've talked about the idea of feedback. So I try to be as open as I can to everybody that I work with to be square with me. Give me the feedback. What is it that I need to do a little bit better? How can I serve you better? What do I need to do? If you allow a person the space and they feel safe, they'll tell you. If they don't feel, they're not going to tell you. Right. And it's also important to say, it's interesting to note what people say when you're not in the room. So how do you get that information? Well, your most trusted confidants will tell you that. Are they saying this guy's a jerk or we love him? What are they saying about you? And how
Yeah.
do you find that out? And that's important because that'll help guide you that you're on the right path. If you've got more people saying that's the guy I want to work with.
Thank you. And I think as leaders, a lot of times I'll hear things like, oh, it's lonely at the top and whatnot. In that it could be in some regards, but the power of having that team around you is so critical. And you talked about working on those relationships to a point where there's that level of trust that if you ask directly, they're going to tell you. They're not going to like, yes, you make everything feel good, but they're going to be that real with you. So the power that comes from that team, that trust. And if you want feedback, you got to ask.
You brought up a point, being lonely at the top. I can remember when I first had a breakout performance and was able to get to a higher level. And I thought about that. I thought that was the way I felt at the beginning. Then all of a sudden I didn't. I felt liberated. I felt actually like, no, it's actually better. This is the most fun I've ever had in my life. And if you're not having, by the way, if you're not having fun with what you're doing, find something else because it's hard to be passionate about something if you're not having fun at it. I mean, I like getting up in the morning and being excited to say the day is here. I got all these things to do. I'm so excited. Let me go after it. I love that. I love that feeling. And if you don't love that feeling, then find a job that's going to do that for you. I mean, there's plenty of things we all can do.
Right.
We can
Right.
contribute in so many ways. You need to, that's why I say pray and find out what your hidden talent is and where you should be working and get there.
I love it. Take action.
Look, I'm on my 5th CEO role, and so maybe this one's going to work. But this one is so exciting. I can't tell you how excited about it. I'm embarking on right now is in the mining business. What we're going to do is the technology that's been developed that we're going to deploy here in the world, hopefully soon in several spots in the United States, will do for mining what fracking has done for oil and gas, essentially expand the supply chain supply dramatically. So what are we doing? We created a way to be able to extract economically. So what we're able to do is today, if you look at copper mines, they can get the copper oxide out of the ore. What they can't get out of the ore today economically is copper sulfide. Chalcopyrite is what it's called. So that's typically what the ore is, and you can't get it. So when they dig it up, they get the oxide out and they leave the sulfide behind. Unfortunately, 68% of every mine has sulfides in it, mainly sulfides, not oxides. So in the United States, as an example, we've exhausted the majority of our copper supply and taken all the oxide out. But guess what's remaining? Already dug up, sulfides. So we developed a process that we are able to extract that copper out of the sulfide, and we can do it at ambient temperatures. They'll get this, ambient temperatures. We created a super reagent. Our secret sauce is what we've developed on the anode coating that allows us to be able to use this electrolysis device, take all the copper out of the sulfide and do it in literally hours and days versus months and years. I mean, if you've ever seen a mining operation, you see these big leaching pits where they throw reagents on the top of it, it leaches down, they capture the effluent off of there, and then they process it and get the copper out of it. That's the process today. Or you do it in tank leaching. You have big tanks, and they dump it in the tanks in this similar process that I just described. In order to enact our technology, all you need to do at existing copper mine, as an example, is pull the engine out, as I like to speak, the electrolysis unit, put ours in, change the reagents, lo and behold, we're at ambient temperature, and it's the first thing I've ever worked on that's both green and economical. One of the biggest problems with anything going green today is it's not economical. Whenever you got to put subsidies to anything, guess what? It's not going to work. Some people say, oh, no, we'll put the subsidy in there because it's going to get economical someday. No, it's not. In majority of times, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, you look at wind production as an example. Least efficient, ugliest thing that you can ever do. And I mean, unfortunately, we bit that pill and we started putting these windmills all over the place. And do you realize the maintenance that goes into those windmills? And oh, by the way, when the blades are done, what do you do with them? What do you do with the blades? They got to put them in landfills. There's no way to go to get rid of them. So my point is this technology that we developed is totally green because we were able to recycle all the reagents. We put it right back to the electrolysis unit, make them super reagents again, and we're ready to go. I mean, it's spectacular.
Amazing. That's spectacular.
I just told you about copper, but that doesn't end with copper. We're able to remediate all of these problems with soil across the planet. So you take, let's just talk about, I'm working up in West Virginia and in Western Pennsylvania. I was born in Pittsburgh, so I got an affinity to go back there. There's slag and potash, fly ash, that's literally hundreds and hundreds of millions of tons that are sitting there in big landfills that are leaching out all over the place. They got to remediate that. And on top of it, guess what's in that fly ash? rare earths. And I don't know if you saw the article today, but China's decided they're going to go put a crimp on its supply. And China right now has literally 80% to 90% of the supply of rare earths. And why is that important? Because all the electrification you want to do with electric cars and motors, et cetera, has to do, you have to have rare earth metals. Magnets, you can't have these strong magnets. Everything that's in televisions, speakers, et cetera, has some rare earths in it. So we need those rare earths. Isn't it wonderful to know that all of a sudden with this kind of technology, we can turn what's in the United States today into a rare earth bonanza.
Yeah.
And we'll become one of the major producers of rare earths. Now, we're right in the middle of going through a bunch of testing with the team in West Virginia that I'm working with. This technology was developed over in Sydney, Australia. So
Okay.
with some
So,
genius.
Bill, where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Well, Orivium.com. That's the name of the company, Orivium.
Awesome. Awesome. That is super exciting. I mean, I am cheering you guys on. Man, if you talk about environmentally friendly and economical,
And I said,
there you are.
one last thing. So I thought about remediation and rare earths. One last revenue stream, which is important to think about. E-waste. E-waste.
Yes.
We produce in the United States alone almost 7 billion tons of e-waste. Where do you think it goes? This is one of the things that get me absolutely nuts. So where does it go? Everyone turns a blind eye to it because we don't want to process it here in the United States, because what they do with e-waste is they put it in these big smelters with 1,500 degrees temperatures to be able to extract as much as they can. If you know anything about the electronic business, of course, I've been in there most of my career. Other boards have flame retardants in it. The flame retardants are very toxic, and bromides in them as well. Well, we can take all that e-waste. There's a process called crumbing that they do. That take what they can recycle out, which is roughly 17% today, is what they recycle, locally. Then they crush it all and they send it overseas to be able to go through these massive smelters in countries like Taiwan, Malaysia, and China. We don't want to see that. Just give it to them. Now I'm telling all the tech CEOs, look, this is a important supply chain for you. That's your precious metals, base metals, and rare earths. Now all of a sudden you can turn your waste stream into your supply chain and corner the market, because there are going to be problems with supply of copper, of precious metals, etc. Now all of a sudden you got this unbelievable source of those metals. Let me give you a statistic. A ton of iPhones, a ton of these things that keep making noise on me, a ton of those have 300 times more gold in it than a ton of gold ore, as just one example.
Wow.
And what we're able to do is we put it through our process. We render the final material inert. We take out and we destroy the flame retardants and the bromide and render them harmless. And what's left over can go right into the dirt, the landfill, because it's totally inert. And we get all the base metals, the precious metals, and whatever else is in there out.
Amazing. Well, I wish you and your team the best. I know with the product testing and all that comes into launching that into the marketplace, it is a grind, and you've been so gracious today to share more on your leadership as well as what you guys are doing with your team, and just amazing. So thank you very much for being here and sharing today. I wish you guys the best.
All right, Dr. Amy, thank you. Bye-bye.